We had a F-15E that was shot down. One of the pilots was recovered fairly soon afterwards, maybe within 8 hours, something like that. And there was a missing pilot, but that wasn't really disclosed initially. And so someone leaked that there was a second missing pilot, and that alerted the Iranians, and they started looking for that missing pilot. Right. So looks like there could be somebody's going to get in some big trouble. Hopefully they find who leaked, right? Because this is a problem with the deep state trying to foil the plans of the good guys, right? The white hats. 20 different generals now are not in favor. They may have been released or maybe have been fired by President Trump now, and Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War. So deep state actors are being found. They're being eliminated. This is probably one of the reasons why things are being drug out to find them. I think also to deploy more troops that probably will do a ground invasion at some point, which I don't think will last very long. Iran doesn't have a lot of, military equipment on the ground, tanks and so forth. Probably do to a certain extent, but not on the level that the U.S. can, bring it. So that's probably one of the things that Trump has been doing, also to highlight all of the different countries that are getting involved, especially Spain, France, and Italy, not allowing like overflights and some of the bases to be utilized to fly from. So all of NATO pretty much. To date, Trump was talking about the pilot that was rescued, and he mentioned towards the end that Japan, Australia, South Korea, and I think maybe 2 or 3 others that had not, that did not want to get involved. They said they wouldn't get involved. So imagine all of the military personnel that are in those bases. So, there's been talk by Trump to bring, our military back home. So it looks like all of these countries are being exposed, and we're just going to bring our troops home, right? So will we actually use some of those troops in this ground invasion or some other conflict that may transpire with Taiwan? It remains to be seen, right? So all of this is basically, it's a worldwide event to take down the deep state. We talked about this for a long time. Other things that have to transpire here at home is a takedown of the deep state judicial system so that military tribunals can, go forward. I've talked to Trennis Evans earlier on a show, and we talked about how probably habeas corpus, like Abraham Lincoln's, is suspended, needs to happen again, right? So also at an event that I went to, which was Bondgate, Professor David Clements also talked about how habeas corpus needs to be suspended so that we can move forward and start to arrest all of these people that are involved in all of these different things. So one of the things that just came out today also was that Nancy Pelosi and another bad actor basically contacted the bomber, the J6 bomber, right, that bombed the DNC and GOP headquarters. So they were actually in contact with him before and after the bombing. So Mike Pence was the other one. So that just came out, and if we didn't have enough, material to convict him of treason, now we're getting more, right? So it's definitely pushing in that direction. When it happens remains to be seen. It should happen, as we all think, sooner than later. but I think that things are moving in that direction regardless. I think it's close, but some people don't, right? And we've been talking about this for a long time, and it just keeps getting pushed, it seems like. So who knows? Who knows? All right. So Trump says there was a leaker, like I talked about. I'm going to play that little clip. I watched this whole presentation earlier about the pilot being rescued.
But these two extraordinary rescues, because it was two, and as you probably know, we didn't talk about the first one for an hour. Then somebody leaked something, which we'll hopefully find that leaker. We're looking very hard to find that leaker. And talked about there's somebody missing. They basically said that we have one and there's somebody missing. Well, they didn't know there was somebody missing until this leaker gave the information. So whoever it was, we think we'll be able to find it out because we're going to go to the media company that released it, and we're going to say, national security, give it up or go to jail. And we know who, and you know who we're talking about, because some things you can't do. Because when they did that, all of a sudden, the entire country of Iran knew that there was a pilot that was somewhere on their land that was fighting for his life. And it also made it much more difficult for the pilots and for the people going in to search for him. All of a sudden, they know that there's somebody out there. They see all these planes coming in. It became a much more difficult operation because a leaker leaked that we have one, we've rescued one, but there's another one out there that we're trying to get. So actually, the country, Iran, put out a major notice, you all saw it, offering a very big award for anybody that captures the pilot. So in addition to a hostile, very talented, very good, very evil military, we had millions of people trying to get an award. So when you add that to it, but we have to find that leaker because that's a sick person.
All right. So the leaker and the newspaper, I believe, should definitely be held responsible. So the entire newspaper, they should know better, right? They're basically trained, a lot of these papers, in what to reveal and what not to reveal, and why. So the leaker definitely needs to go bye-bye, right? So look at all those people that lives were put into jeopardy, right? And, I've heard they had to kill a lot of IRGC guys, Iranians, that were coming in. So those guys didn't have to die, right? So blood on the hands of the leaker and the information leaker, right? So I think that all the guy that wrote the article, the guy that leaked to him, and then the newspaper, I think they all should be held responsible. You should just shut down the paper or whatever organization leaked it, guys. It's ridiculous. It's complete BS, right? And again, this is something that Abraham Lincoln had to do during the Civil War. He had to go after the papers, right? Because this liberal bullshit is not anything new, right? So yeah, the leakers are treasonous, absolutely. So and you know what happens to people who commit treason? They get the firing squad or the hangman's noose. So a lot of people are very should be held accountable. All right, Trump says Iran faces complete demolitions. So as I'm doing this, it's less than 24 hours East Coast time. So that's 8 o'clock EST tomorrow. All right, 8 p.m. So they have less than 24 hours to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and agree to peace plan or start to work on a peace plan. So like I've said all along, I've dealt with Middle East extremists for decades. They're not going to play. And a lot of people are like, well, how could they put their people at risk? They don't care. They've obviously shown they don't care about their people, because when their people demonstrate, they mow them down, right? Trump talked about that in today. Talked about how tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of women, were protesting against the regime, and they brought out snipers and started shooting between the eyes. So this is not. And then over 40,000 people died over the last, basically when they were demonstrating. What was about a month ago now, and Trump said that they're getting information that as they're bombing, they're getting contact from people that are, the civilians that are there, and they're like, don't stop, come back, you're close, keep hitting them. And so imagine if you had been for 47 years, your family and so forth had been under this extreme, horrific, dictatorship, that, if you get out of line, women, if they don't wear, the type of clothing they want to, they shoot them in the streets. It's insane. They demonstrated for many times, and the people that demonstrate have been slaughtered, going back to Obama, and then more recently, with the idea that the regime was about ready to collapse. So it hasn't collapsed. I think the only way that it will collapse is just like when we went into Iraq. We're going to have to put boots on the ground. And Iraq was only 26 days, guys. If you look at Kuwait, it was, I think, 100 hours, right, to free that. So it's maybe it'll be a little bit longer than 26 days, but it's not going to be much longer. And we're not going to stay there. We're not going to stay there like we did in Iraq and Afghanistan. President Trump doesn't play those games, right? He goes in and gets the job done. He's out. So hours before Trump's comments where he said the entire country can be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night, meaning Tuesday night, Trump told reporters at the White House on Monday, repeating his 8 p.m. Eastern time deadline for an agreement. Hours before Trump's comments, the Middle Eastern country rejected a Pakistan-backed ceasefire proposal to end the war and issued a 10-point response. Iranian state media reported Trump described the counterproposal as very significant, but said it was not good enough. So will they come to an agreement tomorrow, knowing that we're going to go in and destroy their bridges and their power plants? You think they really care? They're going to push to the end, guys. That's the way the deep state works. And Iran is basically a deep state puppet, and they're not gonna give. That's my thoughts. So if they do, that's great. A lot of lives will be saved on their end, and probably a few on our end as well. Now, Donald Trump has basically been warning them. It says Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it, he wrote. The president's message quickly escalated when he said, "Open the effing strait, you crazy bastardos." Right? He said bastards. "Or you'll be living in hell. Just watch." Trump raged. And then the line that rose eyebrows, particularly given the Easter holiday, he concluded the post with, "Praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump." So they understand holy wars. Now, with the pilot being rescued, the pilot went down on Good Friday. Then 48 hours later, he was rescued, and he was wounded. He climbed up a mountain into a crevasse. He was like in a crevasse, like a cave, right? Kind of like Jesus, right? So wounded, Good Friday, and then he was rescued on Easter. In fact, on Easter, as they're bringing him back, the sun was rising. So very, very interesting, how that all worked out. During that, both Hegseth and Trump said, God is great. Kind of like what you would hear the Muslims say. So this should be a great sign to the Muslims there in Iraq or Iran, that God, who is God, whose side is he on? So that's pretty impressive. All the things that he went through. If you haven't heard that larger story, you should definitely listen to it. Now, yesterday I put out a video. No, it was the day before yesterday. I put out a video because he was rescued yesterday. So the day before yesterday, I put out a video about SEALs that had rescued pilots, and got Medal of Honor for it. Tommy Norris, right? And then 2 hours after I put that out, or not 2 hours, but not long after I put that out, he was rescued. Maybe it was 2 hours. I don't know. So now, what's interesting about all that is Navy SEALs have been part of rescue missions in the past, and pilot rescue is one of the things that Navy SEALs are trained to do. Right. So supposedly, from what I heard, SEAL Team 6 and elements within the Air Force Special Forces, because SEAL Team 6 has a group of Air Force people that work with us, so combat controllers and so forth, radio telegraph operators and so forth. So radio men and guys that work some other stuff. So they work within us, within our groups, usually, handle different aspects. And, so I remember training with those guys. They're really good guys. Now, as far as like my own experience doing the pilot stuff, I went through SEER training, and not all SEALs go through SEER training. And I was chosen to go through SEER training. So I remember working with the pilots. It was a good experience. One that lives with me to this day. My survival skills are very good, and I've taken them to a much higher level. But I talk about how I broke the waterboard, how they put me on the waterboard and talk, and it didn't work. And then they told me, just start screaming, we'll make it a lot worse for you. So then after the 2 or 3 weeks, I forget how long it was, we did desert, we did mountain, and then we went through prison war camp. You got beatings and all that kind of crazy stuff, waterboard. And so at the end of it, they debriefed us and they said, who's the guy that broke the waterboard? And usually we only have somebody break the waterboard like every 10, 15 years. So it's been a long time. And so I'm looking around, I was like, wow, I wonder who did that. And then he said, it was one of you SEALs. And I looked over at the other SEAL that was with me. He was in my platoon. And we're both like, I don't know. And so then he finally points at me and says, it's you. And so after that, for years, I'd say probably for a decade later, all the pilots that were in aircrew that were in that class, and there's like 150 or so that go through those classes, and they would introduce me to their families. It was like, this is the guy that broke the waterboard. I would be very embarrassed, but because I'm a low key guy, So it was kind of funny. But I also went to some people in the audience might know what this is, but I can't I can't talk about it. It's called Flashlight Repair School, right? So Flashlight Repair School, and I've also went through other like SATM B-54, which is the you jump in the nuke, all right, backpack nuke. So I've been involved in some very high speed, top secret stuff throughout my career, and in the CIA, of course. But that really stands out to me. The SEER training, rescuing pilots, and so forth. It's amazing. There was 157, I think, different aircraft that were involved. Now they talk about how 2 C-130s landed, and the soil is wet, and because I was in Diwania, Iraq, working for the State Department at one time after I left the military. Started working, then eventually I started working for CIA. But we had some vehicles, and we're kind of casing where they would mortar us every night. And so we would go and we'd see where they mortared us, and then we had a counter battery where we had a Mark 19 that we'd set up on a tripod, and we would fire back at them with 40 millimeter grenades. And one night, after casing them out over days and figuring out where they were, how they were operating, we put them all in the hospital. And that was the last time we got mortared. But we would go out and we would look at where they were hitting us. So we would look how the mortars would hit inside the compound and the shrapnel that hit along the walls and so forth. And we're like, okay, if we triangulate, we go back over there. And so we go and we looked in this one little area where there was a compound, homes and so forth. So we're driving, our guys were driving down this road, and I wasn't there at the time, but they were driving down this road, and they went to turn around and go back out, and they got stuck in the mud, right? And so they called us for help. So we came in another vehicle, and we're trying to push them out. And then we called, fortunately, we had a military group that was in our compound that would go out and help vehicles that were running up and down the highway going from Kuwait into Baghdad. So they came and pulled us out. They had like these huge tires on this vehicle, and it was like a mechanic type truck, and they had a winch on the front. So they pulled us out of the mud because we had a big old, armored vehicle, armored Land Cruiser. So, and then they had another vehicle that came in, and it like went out into that, because you think with those big tires, they could go wherever it wanted. And so they went out into the mud, and when you looked at it, it just looked like sand. And you're like, oh, it's like good sand. We could just drive over that. But they got stuck. So the other one that was smart, because we told them don't go off the road, they had to pull them out. It was a mess. But that's what those aircraft went through during the winter season where there's rain. It basically gets into the sand, and it's almost like quicksand, right? Now, when it starts to dry out, it'll be different. But at this time of year, 2 of those C-130s, pretty heavy duty ones, they got stuck, and they landed. They had another plan where they landed some lighter ones, and they're loading up little birds, which are UH-7s, I think they are, and they can configure them all kind of different ways. They can put rocket pods on them, or put guys on them that can jump off, and snipers on them, all kind of crazy stuff. So I've seen them in all kind of configurations. But so they can unload them from those aircraft. That's what they did with the big C-130s, and within 10 minutes they can have them flying. So that's what they did, and they went in and rescued the pilot, and I guess came back, broke them back down again, put them in the lighter birds, and then took off. So crazy, operation, stuff that a lot of us have trained for over the years. But what I think it really shows is the incredible dedication and training and expertise that our military has. So, it's a great time to be very proud of America. Even those people that hate America, at this point, they should be a little bit softer, right? But who knows? Some people just are just hardcore stupid, I think. But this will, I think, eventually it'll play out in our favor. Now, like I've said, I think they're pushing us, and that's one of the reasons why no one wants to get involved, except for those countries like Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Kuwait, Qatar, and all these other places that have been fired upon by Iran. So, and Iraq, all of them been fired on by Iran. So they want us to continue to completely destroy this regime that will continue until they're all eliminated, in my opinion, right? So the movement, I think, of troops, we haven't heard about movement of troops anymore, have we? I think they could probably just take the NATO bases, just shut them down, and move the troops from those NATO bases into action. I don't know. Maybe that's going to happen. We'll see. Because it is a very, very long way to start sending, military vehicles and so forth. Now the Marine Expeditionary Forces have all that, and then they have the Osprey, which would have been perfect for this mission, but that group from San Diego is not here yet. So I think it's very probable that we're going to start another bombing campaign as we're moving troops into a position to really make a move to put boots on the ground. So you got to get that strait open. And there's thousands of ships in there with crews that are in very desperate straits because they've been there for like a month, running out of food, running out of water. To make water, they have to be able to move. I think maybe some of them have been moving around so they can make water. So I don't know. They have to get their engines going, to get their distillation plants going and so forth. I've heard of some of them are fishing over the side and getting fish, so they can eat. Probably Filipinos, right? So Filipinos are great at that. I saw them on the ships that I was on over the years. If they got a chance to put a hook over the side, they're going to catch fish, right? So they're amazing. All right. So, and a lot of those sailors are Filipinos, and, they don't make big wages, but they do compared to their country. So they're on those ships, they don't need a lot of them anymore to run those ships, just to maintain them. So, some of these ship companies are telling them, just go through the straits. Kind of go through the strait. Ships are being blown up, and there's talk of mines out there, all kind of crazy stuff. So, not a good idea. Start, rolling through the straits. So, we're going to see I think in the next day or so, what's going to happen. I think they're going to get hit. So I think like I said, I think he's been, just stalling this, knowing that they weren't going to really do anything, and just making an effort to show that, hey, we've done everything we can. The world has to have oil. It has to come through here. No one's going to help us. It's up to us. And so we're going to go in. We're the greatest, military in the world right now. We're just going to go in and hammer them. So I think that's what's going to come. So Trump delivers the Easter message, and he says, to be great, U.S. must have religion. And I think he says, this Holy Week, I'm proud to join with Christians across the country and around the world to celebrate the most glorious miracle in all of time, Trump began, the resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. In his life, Christ displayed true humility. In his death, he modeled true love and in his resurrection from the tomb, he proved that even death itself will not silence those who place their trust in Almighty God. So he cited a passage from the Gospel of John, referencing John 3:16, as it says in Gospel of John, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son. For whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life," he said. So the President continued by pointing to the renewed interest in religion across the country as church attendance, particularly among young Americans, has been increasing. Now, another point to add to this is that in Iran, the greatest number increase of Christians by percentage of any country is in Iran, right? So Muslim mosques, I've talked about this, Muslim mosques are basically falling into disrepair because no one goes to them anymore. So it is moving in a very good direction, I think, worldwide. Even in Canada, they're restricting, they came out with a law because Muslims were coming in front of churches in the streets, blocking streets and praying, right? They don't do that anywhere else, and they don't do that in Muslim countries, right? I know, I've been there. Right? It's been a lot of time in Muslim countries. So they basically passed a law that Muslims can no longer do that. Now, this is Quebec. So this is French Quebec. So they're starting to push back. We know same problems are in France, in England, and Germany, and pretty much throughout Europe, and many states here in America, right? Texas, Michigan, several, of course, in Minnesota, right? So there's lots of issues right now with these Muslims, that are not integrating with America and some other cultures. I'm talking about Muslims, but there's other cultures that are here that are not integrating as well, right? So it should be you integrate or you go bye-bye, right? Otherwise, you just come in, you're changing America, and you're not going to do that because we have a constitution and America is for Americans, right? So integrating here in our culture is, I think, going to be very, very important going forward. And those that are not doing that will probably be shown the door, right? And so there's going to be lots of flights for a long time out of America, and not just the known illegal people that are here, but also those people here that are integrating, right? And they'll have a choice, of course. But just like we're seeing in Iran, Iran, they're not going to go along. It's the way they are, right? It's the way they are. Stupid is as stupid does, right? That quote from that one movie with that one guy that's probably not here anymore. It's fun to point all these things out. Over time, a lot of people are going to be shown to have been taken away, I think. So we'll see. So Forrest Gump, he was pretty brilliant, actually. Pretty simple guy, but in his own simple way, he was brilliant and did a lot of good stuff. Of course, the actor that played his part, not so much. Right? So we'll see some of that be revealed. And so maybe some of them don't use deodorant, but a lot of them do. Wear a lot of cologne. So they mask that with cologne, I guess. I don't know. But I've known a lot of Muslims over the years, and most of the ones I've met have been great. But the ones that are running a lot of these radical groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, they're the Shia, right? So the Shia are basically controlling Iran right now. And of course, the Shia are basically funding the Yemen radicals, Shia radicals, the Hamas Shia radicals, and the Hezbollah Shia radicals, and some radicals that are in Afghanistan and Iraq. And so, we're going to have to take it out. And who knows, maybe there's going to be problems for us here in America. I think there already are, but I think it's coming. That's why I keep bringing it up. It has to be dealt with. All right. So a lot of you guys have some good chatting here. So those who have another country to go to and support the other country need to leave ASAP. Americans are done with them. Yes, we are really. But I guess those people that have made themselves in charge, right, have basically allowed those types of people to come in and take over, not only here in America, American cities and American states, but also in Europe. So that has to be turned around. All right, guys. Just want to come in and point out some of these things that are, foremost. I think it's a wait and see about the what's going to happen for strikes tomorrow if they get extended again. I can imagine they are. It sounds like Trump is pretty much because we can't keep bombing these guys like this. We have to go in and just hammer everything, right? So taking out their power source, basically, there's probably power sourced a lot of these missile systems that are still flying around and striking targets. So that's going to get taken away, and so more, and so much more. The bridges, so they can't move around. Now we can come in with our military, and we have bridge making capabilities where we just come in. It's like within minutes we'll have a bridge over something. So I don't know. We'll see. Or we can just jump them in, right? 82nd Airborne, 101st Screaming Eagles. It's just like drop them in, and they'll take over. Drop them in with all their gear, their tanks, their Jeeps, or Humvees, and all that stuff. They've done that, right? But of course, you got to own the sky, and can't have man pads, which a lucky man pad shot, take down aircraft. So we'll see. So yes, buy tons of silver. Right, so silver will probably, I think, go much, much higher. Right, 250 by mid-year, maybe 500 by the end of the year, 1,000, a couple years out, 20,000 possibly for gold. Right, so these are long-term because we're in a long-term bull market for precious metals, and we're also going to see. Because I've seen it. It's like a cup and handle on oil. Go all the way, almost same thing that happened with silver, guys. It's same thing with oil, right? So we're probably going to see oil, unfortunately, go a lot higher, right? So that's gonna really, hammer the economy. And every time that happens like that, then silver and gold really tick off, right? So you want to be in a good position to own as much as you can. And then as things get bad, you can tap into that, keep yourself going, right? I did that the last go around when CIA thought they're going to completely destroy me. And I had all that gold and silver, and I was able to keep going. So we're going in probably another pretty tough time, economy-wise. Those of you guys that have seen my bond and the all the different taxes that we have, that it's a tsunami that's coming. It can't be stopped. So we're going to have a collapsed economy. So that's a done deal. Yeah, Bo Pony says 20,000 an ounce for gold. So there's a lot of people saying it. So I've been saying it for a while. Yeah, the death clock secret window. I think that's pretty cool. I think that there's a lot to that. Yeah, and Dr. Kirk Elliott and I have been talking about that for years. So there's signaling and reveals that are going on everywhere. So it's not going to be openly talked about, but you'll have to be able to tune into me and other people that decipher it for you, or better yet, do it on your own, and this we confirm what you came to, right? And that's ideally what we all want to be. We all want to be working together, we the people, to take down this evil. And part of this evil is taking down, Iran. And until that gets taken down, it's a threat. So I think, of course, there's all the people that don't believe it, that they were very, very close to a nuclear weapon. They've been telegraphing it for years, right? That they're getting close. And so a lot of reveals. So we have the Artemis 2 that's going around the dark side of the moon right now. So that's very interesting. So we're going to have reveals on all this stuff. Now, I've had people come in and say, because I believe there is a moon. So, and then there's people that don't. Yeah, so we'll find out, I guess. Find out what's real. All right, guys. Lots of love. Stay in the love vibration. And I'll see you guys next time.